Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is your boy Fitzmonk TV here, aka GLauren33. I want to welcome you guys back here to the Legit Shoot podcast, here with your Smackdown live review and results for March 19th, 2021. Thank you guys so very much for joining me on the podcast. We are back with the video. I know the last couple reviews for Smackdown have been audio only, but I got the camera on and the face cam, so I know you guys are excited about that. And I'm actually excited to talk about this show. A show that isn't stupid. Would you believe that? A show that wasn't stupid. A show that's built actually makes sense and actually makes you care about where WWE's going forward. I am very, very excited for what SmackDown has planned for us at Fastlane and for WrestleMania. Very, very excited. You know, because we got Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan. And I've been saying this for months. Daniel Bryan deserves to face Roman Reigns more than Edge at WrestleMania. Yo, want to see Roman versus Edge because of the hype. And I understand that. It's a dream match, right? And you don't know how long Edge is going to wrestle. You know, he's here for right now, but he's an older superstar. One bad injury, and he could be gone. But at the end of the day, we all know that Daniel Bryan is more deserving of that spot. And he is proving that in the feud he's doing with Roman Reigns right now. I'm telling you right now, I will not be surprised if Daniel Bryan wins. If Daniel Bryan wins the Universal Championship on Sunday. I think it's a 50-50 shot. I really do think it's a 50-50 shot that Roman loses that Universal title at Fastlane. He may gain it back before WrestleMania. You know, maybe Bryan wins the title and they do a rematch on the next Friday. And then that gets Roman to walk into WrestleMania as champion. But maybe instead that gets Daniel Bryan into the match as well. And then it becomes a triple threat. I've been saying for months that it should be at least a triple threat, at minimum, between Edge, Bryan, and Roman. You know, because I would have rather seen Edge versus McIntyre. But instead, I'm not complaining because we're getting Bobby Lashley, who I think we all agree deserves that spot. So I'm not really complaining about it too much. I'm just saying Bryan deserves to be in that match no matter what. No matter what. The level of work that Daniel Bryan's doing right now, especially if you look at the landscape on SmackDown, there's really going to be nothing for him to do if he doesn't get that match at WrestleMania. And he deserves it because this feud has been incredible so far. Also, Big E versus Apollo Crews for this Sunday. You can make an argument that their feud, Big E and Apollo's feud, may be even better than what Roman and Daniel Bryan are doing right now. That's an argument. That's an actual valid argument. I love this feud. I love Apollo's heel turn. You know, I love the Nigerian accent and everything. Big E being serious and not playing any games, not doing the comedy. He's, you know, taking this very serious with Apollo. I love it. And the intensity these two are bringing in all their segments is fantastic. And I cannot wait for that match on Sunday. And I'm telling you right now, Apollo needs to win the Intercontinental Championship. That's what needs to happen, right? And also, you have Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins, you know, actually, I loved what Seth was wearing tonight, right? He didn't wear that ridiculous cheetah suit or that pink suit he was wearing a couple weeks ago. What he was wearing tonight, that was actually some fire-ass attire. I will give Seth, all the credit in the world. That was great. We need to see him wearing that kind of stuff every week, all right? But I love what they're doing with Seth right now. Clearly, it looks like they're setting up Seth versus Cesaro on the undercard of WrestleMania, which I have no problem with. That could be a show stealer right there, you know. And we're getting Seth versus Nakamura at Fastlane to be like a bridge because Nakamura and Cesaro, they're still technically like tag team partners, you know, but they're baby faces. So I have no problem with that. I loved what they did with that, man. Loved what they did with that segment last night. It was short, it was sweet, it was simple and to the point, right? And then lastly, which is going to get us actually into the show tonight, Sasha Banks, which is, the opening shoot. This opening shoot has basically been, me talking about how SmackDown is so much better than Raw. Really, this show wasn't stupid. We don't do stupid stuff on SmackDown like we do with Raw. Almost everything. I just gave you about 4 feuds that I'm actually invested in. And they're almost all of them are for the top titles. All of them are all for the top titles. The IC title, the Universal title, the Women's Championship. I guess you can include the women's tag titles in there as well because they involve Sasha and Bianca, right? And even though the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, they're not. I'm not that excited about it. It's mainly because the Usos haven't come back yet. We're still waiting for Jimmy Uso. I feel like I'm a broken record talking about that. But, still, we'll see what happens with that on the road to WrestleMania. That's probably that may be the only thing I really don't care about on SmackDown. But for the most part, I care about everything else. On Raw, outside of Bobby and Drew McIntyre, there's nothing else that I really care about. You haven't done Asuka justice with the Raw Women's Championship, right? And I'm terrified, in my opinion, it's to be Asuka versus Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley for a triple threat match. And I know that Rhea Ripley's actually going to be making her debut on Monday. They advertised it on their social media page last night. And I'm terrified for that because I don't want to see Rhea Ripley get buried. She used to be easy to book. She used to be a top star, similar to how you're building up Bianca Belair on SmackDown. But we'll see. Right, you have AJ Styles and Almas, who, I guess they're not a makeup tag team, but we've never seen Almas in the ring, so they're kind of are a makeup tag team. We have Styles and Almas teaming up against the New Day, which I guess I care about a little bit, but the match was just made. There's no story there yet, so I can't really say anything about that. And everything else on Raw is pretty much garbage. Who is Matt Riddle going to face for the U.S. Championship at WrestleMania, right? What are you doing with Shane McMahon and Braun Strowman in that stupid storyline? I just heard that their match at Fastlane pretty much got canceled. Yeah, I wasn't excited about the match to begin with, but still, you guys see where I'm going with this. You guys get the point. It's stupid. That's the best way to describe it. It's all stupid at the end of the day. So I don't know. I don't know. SmackDown and Raw, it's like day and night, to be honest. Most of the stuff on SmackDown I'm actually invested in, but most of the stuff on Raw is just stupid garbage trash. And I have a smile on my face when I do these SmackDown reviews. Because I know I'm not coming in to review a dumbass show. All right, you have people on there. You have I don't know the huge writing staff because Vince McMahon is still in charge. But at least on SmackDown, it seems like the creative writers have more input, especially than what they have on Raw. But Sasha Banks really quickly because I want to get into that. That was our opening match tonight, right? Can I just say this as we're getting into the show? This is going to lead us directly into the start of SmackDown tonight. I say this all the time, but I have to remind you guys, especially because this is the Legit Shoot podcast, right? Sasha Banks proved once again why she's the best female wrestler in the world. You guys have heard me say this for years, if you guys have listened to this podcast for any duration of time. But it's just facts. It's just facts. She proved once again why she is the best in the world. Every single time she steps in that ring, there's nobody that goes harder. There's nobody that will put you over more in the ring than Sasha Banks. This is why I've been disappointed with the booking. They decided to focus more on Reginald, right? They decided to focus more on Reginald in this storyline with Sasha and Bianca than just let Sasha and Bianca go out and do their thing. I never had a problem with Sasha and Bianca going after the tag titles. I said that for months that they're going down the John Cena and HBK route. The problem I've had is that they put way too much focus on this Reginald nonsense. Way too much focus on this Reginald nonsense, right? And you see, like last night on SmackDown, you see what you get when Reginald's out of the picture, when he's not involved, when you just focus on wrestling. When you just let the best in the world do what the best in the world does, you get a good segment. You get storytelling. You get an actual build. And look, man, this is what they should have done. This is what they should have done with the Sasha and Bianca storyline. If you wanted to go down the John Cena HBK route, I'm not complaining about that whatsoever, right? Whatsoever. I did say that I don't like, I don't like title changes that don't really make any sense. I don't like that. But this is what I will say. You have Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, right? That's always going to be a match for WrestleMania. What you should have done, because remember, when Sasha first won the Hell in a Cell match against Bayley back in October, she said that she wants to defend this title against everybody, right? And I quote, "I can't wait to go up and down that ring with Liv, with Ruby, with Carmella, right? With Zelina Vega, with Tamina, with Natalya." She said all these names. But the thing about it is, she's been SmackDown Women's Champion now for, what, 5 months? It's been close to 5 months now, if it hasn't been 5 months already. And all she's feuded with was Bayley, Carmella, and now the match with Nia. That's sad. You know, that should have been the case. What you should have done is, after Sasha beat Carmella at the Royal Rumble, you should have had Sasha defend inside the Elimination Chamber. The way they did the Elimination Chamber this year was horrific. I'm not going to let that go. They should have had Sasha defend inside the Elimination Chamber, and then after that, Sasha gets another title defense on her record, right? Then, if you wanted to, you could have done the Sasha and Bianca versus Jackson Baszler at Fastlane. They should have not been doing 2 pay-per-views with Sasha and Bianca challenging for the tag titles. No way, right? What they should have done is they should have had Sasha and Bianca challenge at Fastlane after Sasha defended her title at the Elimination Chamber. And if you wanted to do this match with Nia Jax on SmackDown last night, just the same way, I would have no problem with that. No problem with that, because it gets Sasha another title defense. And I love going on social media and seeing everybody talk about how great Sasha is. Because Sasha's the only person that can bring Nia to a good match. Maybe Asuka, maybe Bayley, but that's about it. I don't think Charlotte could do it. I don't even think Becky could do it, right? But that's the best Nia Jax match you're going to get. I remember, if you guys remember, Sasha versus Nia back, I think it was 2018. It was in Boston, Sasha's hometown. And it was for the number 1 contender. The winner would face Alexa Bliss at SummerSlam. Nia said in an interview that was her first big WWE moment. If you look at it, that's probably Nia's best match on the main roster outside of her match with Ronda Rousey at Money in the Bank, like a year later. That was the match. You know, this match had so many callbacks to that original match too. I loved it, you know? So I want you guys to get it through your heads, man. Really. Sasha has to retain against Bianca at WrestleMania. She does. Because this is what you get with Sasha as champion. You know, they haven't booked Sasha in the best way. They haven't. You know? And I'm saying that as a Sasha Banks fan. Just because she's champion doesn't mean she's been booked correctly. I love Sasha. I love Asuka, but they have not been booked that great as champions. Sasha's been booked a little bit better, but it's not a huge difference. All you have to do is have Sasha go out there and just do what she does best and wrestle. That's it. Because this is the end result. If Bianca wins at WrestleMania, there is no guarantee. Bianca has done nothing on SmackDown to prove to us that she's going to be able to give us matches on the level that Sasha does. That's why I've been saying, hold off on the title change until SummerSlam. Have Sasha and Bianca win the tag titles at Fastlane. Do the John Cena HBK route. Have them give us a Match of the Year candidate at WrestleMania like we know they can. And then, you know, they're still tag champions. Sasha's still a babyface. Bianca's still a babyface, right? And then you continue the storyline going into the summer. Long-term storytelling. I don't understand why people don't like long-term storytelling. Because when you get long-term storytelling, you get to look back at the journey it took to get to the finale. That's why Avengers Endgame and Infinity War, the end of the MCU Phase 3 were so good. Because it was a journey. Everyone just wants moment after moment after moment. Like, come on. When Bianca wins the title, it might be a great moment, but Sasha's going to go down to 0-6 on Mania. And that's not good for Sasha's career. She doesn't deserve that. A loss is not going to hurt Bianca. It's not. It's just going to make her a bigger star. That's what you cretins have to understand. I'm getting so angry seeing that kind of stuff on social media. All right? If Sasha wins, you continue the storyline going into the summer. And then, you know, eventually, at some point, if you want, you could have Sasha and Bianca lose the tag titles to, I guess, Natalya and Tamina, because that team's been built up. Like, maybe around, let's just say, I would say, in my opinion, May or June, you have them lose the tag titles. And then if you want, at that point, you can turn Sasha or Bianca heel. It's up to you. Either one works. I'm not going to complain which. But either way, it would lead, right? The slow breakup of their friendship would lead to a rematch at SummerSlam where Bianca would get her big title win. And it would mean more, and it would be more special. Because I'm willing to bet we're probably going to have fans at SummerSlam this year. With the vaccinations coming out and all that, I think we're going to have fans. But either way, you guys are seeing now where the storyline should go. This is why. Last night proves why Sasha should be the SmackDown Women's Champion going forward. All right? There is no guarantee you're going to get that from Bianca. It's not. It's just people that are still drunk off the hype from the Royal Rumble. And they just want to see her win the title to win the title. I'm sorry. Bianca, I love her, but it's not the time. Save it for SummerSlam. Make a story out of this. Don't give her the title just to give her the title. It's just like what you did with the Iconics a couple years ago. You gave them the title. They got a huge pop. Everybody on social media, was talking about, oh, I'm so happy for Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. And then they go ahead and they have the worst women's tag team title reign of all time. The women's tag team champions became dead the second you gave them the titles. They did nothing with them. Everything that Sasha and Bayley wanted to do with those titles became absolutely dead and meaningless. You cannot do that here with Sasha and Bianca. I'm not saying Bianca is the Iconics. I'm not saying that. But you guys are putting a lot on Bianca when she has not proven to us on the main roster yet that she's even worthy of that type of star power. If Bianca loses at Mania and you guys just say she's buried, right? And she can't she can't handle having a WrestleMania loss on her record of that scale, then that should just tell you that she should have never been in that spot to begin with. It's that simple. It's that simple. And I hate that I have to spend 10 minutes to tell you guys the same thing each and every single week, but that's the way it is. You guys are your recency bias is ridiculous. In the wrestling community, recency bias is such an issue and it's so disgusting that I got to remind you guys of this every single podcast. But I have to. That's why I'm here. I'm here to educate you fools, right? But, either way, man, Sasha has to retain at Mania. I'm gonna keep saying that until we get to Mania, and if she loses, I'm gonna be pissed and I'm gonna rant about it. But you guys should be way more concerned about Bianca's future than Sasha's future, really. And I'm being that serious. All right. Anyway, let's get into SmackDown tonight. So Sasha and Bianca actually started off the show. Sasha and Bianca were backstage. This was like a continuation of their argument that went from last week. If you guys remember, Sasha told Bianca last week that she was a rookie because she got pinned by Nia Jax, right? And this week, they were arguing again, and Bianca was calling Sasha, not smart for, first of all, accepting this match in the first place, right? And Sasha tried to blame it on Reginald, and Bianca was like, there it is, right? Reginald once again getting into our business and all that, right? So you can't sit here and lie, Bianca makes some really good points. She makes good points, right? Because this match was only really happening because of Reginald's addiction with Sasha Banks, So, Bianca was like, don't expect me to come out there and save your ass tonight. And Sasha was like, I love it. Sasha was like, I didn't ask you to, right? So you have like Bianca trying to act, like she's the veteran now in all these circumstances. Like she's the smart one of this team. And Sasha's like, whoa, right? No, I'm the champ here. I'm the boss. I give the orders, right? Who cares if I have an inflated ego or not? I'm the best in the world. So I loved, I love the back and forth between Sasha and Bianca because they're similar characters at the end of the day. If you really look at it, their attitudes, their personas, right? They both have inflated egos, right? Bianca calls herself the EST. Sasha calls herself the boss, So you guys see, they have a really good dynamic. But Sasha came out while Bianca stayed backstage. And I was so happy, man, when we got the news that Reginald was not there. Reginald was not there. And they explained that he was getting a spa treatment, right? I'm hoping that's the case for Sunday as well, because I think last night proved once again what you get when you don't put this ridiculous focus on Bianca. I mean, on Bianca, on Reginald, right? A focus that should have never been there, all right? But Anyway, so we got the match. This match was about 10 minutes. It was short, but it was really, really good. And that was only because Sasha actually has really good chemistry with Nia Jax. She's the only person, like I said, outside of maybe Bayley and Asuka, that could bring Nia to a good match. So, Sasha was very aggressive, right? Knowing that, you got to get Nia off her feet. You can't let Nia take advantage from the opening bell. She was whipping. She took out Baszler at ringside and stomped Jax in the corner. Did a double knee attack followed by a bulldog. Then Sasha went for the bank statement, but Nia fought out and delivered a gorilla press slam for 2. Nia then added a second slam and an elbow drop for another near fall. She executed a really good Samoa drop, but, Nia would waste a little bit of time taunting, and that would give Sasha time to recover. So then Bianca actually came out. So Bianca came out anyway, right? And we would actually see a pretty cool Easter egg to this later on in the show, which I love, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. But Bianca, who said she wasn't going to came out anyway. All right, but then after that, we come back from commercial. Nia targeted the left leg of Sasha, then doing a stretch muffler, and this was scary because the one thing I said this last week, the one thing that I was scared about coming into this match was Nia's ability to injure Sasha, because Nia is the injury queen. Ask Kairi Sane, ask Bayley, ask Alexa Bliss, right? Ask Asuka, all of them. Ask Lana, who have all been injured by the hands of Nia Jax in the last year. So the one thing, we all knew that Sasha was most likely going to retain. The one thing that we were nervous about was her getting injured at the hands of Nia Jax. Us not wanting to see her get injured on the road to WrestleMania. Like, come on, nobody wants to see that. So we come back and we see Nia. She put Sasha into the corner after that stretch muffler. I was terrified at that spot, because Sasha went really hard into the turnbuckle, but she was okayed. I guess Sasha's just that good of a seller. So, Sasha escaped a submission attempt, and then she did a reverse Meteora, which looked really good. Then things started to break down. Baszler entered the ring, right? And she tried to kick Sasha, almost the same way that she took out Asuka's tooth. But instead, she hit Nia. Sasha hit a beautiful DDT, which was a big callback to their match from 2018, right? I loved the tornado DDT Sasha hit. And then Sasha won the match after Baszler's interference with a jackknife roll-up for the win. So Nia didn't tap out. So I guess they're still trying to protect Nia. Like, I don't care. You guys know this already. I am not a Nia Jax fan. They do this all the time. But I guess they're still trying to protect Nia Jax. Who cares? But the big thing is Sasha retains in what was a really good match. And like I say all the time, this is what you should be doing with Sasha. It's that simple. If Bianca becomes champion at WrestleMania, there's no guaranteed that she's going to be this kind of performer as the SmackDown Women's Champion. I'm just calling it as it is. All right? Because I feel like you guys are putting a lot of hype into Bianca, but I think interest in her, has started to just diminish just a little bit. And really, to get the best Bianca, this has to go all the way to SummerSlam. It has to. Okay? But I am happy Sasha got the win in what was a good match. I wish we could have got Sasha versus Shayna instead, though, because imagine that kind of match with time. But it is what it is. All right, so moving on. We had I'm gonna get through this since we're talking about it already. Later on in the show, we had Bianca Belair versus Shayna Baszler, right? So remember, earlier in the night, Bianca, who said she was going to not provide support for Sasha during her match, still came out and did provide support for Sasha. But then Sasha put a full 180 here. So Bianca came out. Sasha made her entrance after her. But halfway down the ramp, Sasha said, "Nah, you got this, Bianca. You got this." Kind of giving Bianca, I guess, that rookie treatment in a way, Bianca has been giving Sasha a little bit of attitude. So Sasha was like, "Nah, you know what? you got this. I'm gonna let you handle this. So then Sasha said she would be watching from backstage. So Sasha just turned around and left. And that's gonna be very interesting because, that did cost Bianca tonight. So the match, was actually, pretty decent, right? Pretty decent. And but the thing about it is, Nia also left Shayna. So Sasha left Bianca and Jax left Shayna because, Nia was mad at Shayna for the kick that led to, Jax getting pinned by Sasha earlier in the night. So this match was okay. It didn't go. We know that these two can give us a lot more. This is Bianca and Nia that we're talking, or not Bianca and Nia, Bianca and Shayna that we're talking about. Like, just go watch their NXT matches if you want to see the full capability of them in the ring together. But either way, we see here at the end there was actually a disqualification. There was no winner. Nia and Tamina hit the ring and they attacked both Bianca and Shayna, and Nia and Sasha didn't come out to help their partners, right? So we'll see if that has anything to do with the storyline going forward. We'll see if it has any impact on Fastlane. I'm hoping that they're not planning on having Natalya and Tamina attack Sasha and Bianca or Shayna and Nia. If you want to do that after the match, that's different. But I hope they're not doing this match again. Because remember, I'm already annoyed that we're getting Sasha and Bianca going for the tag titles for a second straight pay-per-view. I'm annoyed at that. And if this match ends with another disqualification, because Nia or because Tamina and Natalya, I'm gonna get pissed because it's gonna be like, what the point? What was the point of booking this match to begin with, right? So it's gonna be interesting. Natalya and Tamina, they have been built up well as a team, and like I said, I do think they're gonna win the tag titles at some point in the future. If it was up to me, I would have Sasha and Bianca win those tag titles, and then around May or June, that's when I would have Natalya and Tamina take them off Sasha and Bianca to help further that storyline. But I hope this is not leading to some kind of disqualification at Fastlane. That would be annoying. Who knows? Maybe the match gets changed to a triple threat. We know WWE's making some last minute Fastlane changes anyway, right? We know we're not getting Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon. They just announced Matt Riddle versus Ali again for the U.S. Championship. And I believe they announced one other match. But, it was Seth Rollins versus Nakamura. So, so we'll just have to wait and see. But I don't have any annoyance. I don't have any problem with Natalya and Tamina. I just hope that the whole point of all this is not for them to attack on pay-per-view. That's all I hope. But we'll see. But yeah. So either way, man, I'm just glad that Reginald wasn't there tonight, really. I just like that the focus was on the wrestling and the storyline, and that's about it. Really. So hopefully that continues. Hopefully you don't have to deal with this nonsense with Reginald on Sunday. But we'll deal with that then. Moving on. Let's get into the men's side, because we talked a lot about Sasha and Bianca right there. But we saw Seth Rollins. He came out tonight with a nice, white suit jacket. It had like blue on the bottom, and he had some nice little blue pants with brown shoes. This was, like I said, I think this was Seth's best outfit. His best outfit, since coming back. The last couple weeks, his outfits have been horrendous. But tonight, I really enjoyed what he was wearing. And, like I said, they're slowly leading us to Seth versus Cesaro. That clearly is going to be the match at WrestleMania. And I think that's going to be an absolute show stealer if given the time. We know that Cesaro is like a 5-star match machine. Seth, I don't have to really say anything about him. We know how great Seth is. Like I said, man, I'm excited. I'm excited for where this is going. So Edge joined Caleb Braxton for a backstage promo where he talked about Jey Uso's potential to be a star if he could break out of Roman Reigns' shadow. He also talked about how Daniel Bryan hit him with the running knee to the face from last week. So I like I said, I like how they're mentioning stuff from weeks prior. I like that continuous storytelling. But anyway, yeah. And Edge said he would have done the same thing. So ultimate opportunist. That's all it is. All right, but then back into the ring with Seth. Seth, was sitting there for a promo. He claimed that Cesaro disrespected, humiliated, and embarrassed him when he walked out on the Vision a few weeks back. So everybody else did. You guys gotta remember, everybody else walked out on Seth too. But I think Seth's problem is the fact that Cesaro stayed out there after everyone had already left. It just added to the disrespect and the humiliation Rollins was facing, right? And that's the reason why Seth is now targeting Cesaro. He said he touted, how Seth touted how he's been in WrestleMania main events, right? Every single year. And Cesaro has been an abject failure, which you can't really deny. Cesaro's WrestleMania career, outside of the year when he won the Andre the Giant, I think he won the first Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. I think it was at WrestleMania 30. What's is crazy that was almost a decade ago, and that's Cesaro's best WrestleMania moment. Because every year he's either been in a Battle Royal or he's been in some kind of like tag team title match. Really, I think most of those years was when he was teaming with Sheamus in the Bar. That's all I can remember really from Cesaro, So, and we all know Cesaro, he deserves to be in the main event. And I'm happy that he's finally getting that WrestleMania type push. And I hope this actually eventually leads to him in the future to contend for WWE and Universal titles. So Seth played a video last week of him beating down Cesaro, and he mocked Cesaro's attempts to seize the brass ring, and then Shinsuke Nakamura came out to interrupt the proceedings, right? So Seth told Nakamura, "I know you're not here to disrespect me like Cesaro did, right? So please don't do anything." But Nakamura didn't waste any time. I love that Nakamura is back as a babyface, man. It may not be fully like NXT Nakamura. I still think he's still missing a little more of that intensity that he had back then, but still. But I do like where they're going with Cesaro and Nakamura back as baby faces. So Nakamura got in the ring, took the mic from Seth and told him to shut up, and then he blasted Seth with a Kinshasa, and then that's how the segment ended. So it was announced that we're gonna get Nakamura and Rollins at Fastlane, in a one-on-one match. I do believe that's a match that could be a show stealer. I think that could be a show stealer. Right now I think there's like a lot of matches for Fastlane, and I understand it's the last pay-per-view before WrestleMania, and it's going to be your first pay-per-view on Peacock, but I do think there's a little bit too much that they're putting on the Fastlane card. I do think that, because on Monday the card was only about, I think, like 5 matches. Now I think it's up to 6 or 7. So, we'll see. But I think they are adding a little bit too much to the card. But I do think it still could be a good pay-per-view. We'll just have to be patient. So next up, we had the Mysterios versus the Street Profits, which would lead us to the Mysterios versus the Alpha Academy. So we know that the Street Profits, right? They've been built up to face the face Rude and Ziggler. And I don't know if that's a match that was announced for this Sunday. That may have been a match, but I don't know. But anyway, so basically, this was a babyface versus babyface match. We had Ziggler and Rude who were watching from commentary. Look, I like Rude and Ziggler. I wish they had been booked better over their main roster careers, but they've done nothing as SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Like, I honestly forget that they're SmackDown Tag Team Champions because they don't do anything with the titles. We barely see them on the show some weeks, So it is what it is, but we do got to be honest here. But anyway, so we got this babyface versus babyface match, and all of a sudden, you have Rey Mysterio. He pulled Montez Ford off the top rope, and Dominic rolled up Dawkins for an upset win. So here's my thing: you've been building up this rematch, right, with the Street Profits and Rude and Ziggler. And a lot of us believe that's going to be most likely the match at WrestleMania, because I don't know what's happening with Jimmy Uso. Maybe he doesn't come back till after WrestleMania at this point. I don't know, but it looks like now I wouldn't be surprised if this turns into a fatal 4-way. Really, that's where it looks like it's heading. Especially like Street Profits, they haven't lost a match since they lost the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, and then you just do some random roll up win. It's the 50-50 booking that I cannot stand. I love that Dominic and Ray are a tag team. I have no problem with that. I've been saying that, that they should have been doing this. But the thing about it is, right? Didn't you just have Ray and Dominic lose to Chad Gable and Otis the last 2 weeks? So 50-50 booking. So you have them lose to Chad Gable and Otis, a team that might not even exist in a couple weeks because Chad Gable's most likely leaving the company. And instead, right, instead of actually making sense and, building up the team properly, you have them come out and beat the number one contenders for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. That's the kind of booking that I cannot stand, man. I cannot stand when they do this shit. So anyway, after the match, Gable and Otis appear, and they had a problem that the Mysterios were suddenly in tag team title contention. So we come back from a quick break, and then we have another match. Now it's Chad Gable and Otis versus the Mysterios, and all of a sudden, guess what? Otis hits Dominic with a big splash for the win. So all of a sudden, you have Mysterio and Dominic, who had lost for weeks, right? And all of a sudden, they beat the number one contenders for the tag team titles in the Street Profits, and then they lose to Chad Gable and Otis. And I guess, you can make the excuse that they had a match just before that, right? This was their second match of the night. But still, why book the match to begin with? This is Monday Night Raw logic right here. This is something you don't usually see this stuff on SmackDown. Why am I seeing this on SmackDown, man? Did a rat from Monday Night Raw make its way into the SmackDown locker room? Like what are we doing here? Clearly this is most likely going to lead to a fatal 4-way, maybe a fatal 5-way if the Usos are back by then. But I can clearly see where this is going, because we know Vince wants to get as many people on the WrestleMania card as possible. But still, they could have done better. This doesn't make sense. It would have made a lot more sense just to have Mysterio versus Chad Gable and Otis. Instead of having two matches, just have one. The Street Profits shouldn't be losing right now if you're building them up to eventually win those titles again. It's the 50-50 booking that doesn't make any sense. Any sense to me. Or you could have done something like you could have had Rude and Ziggler beat the Mysterios tonight, just because they're the champions. And then, if you wanted to, you could have Ray and Dominic get a win back by beating Chad Gable and Otis. Those two solutions I just gave you would have made so much more sense than the nonsense we got here. And, mind-blowing. I hate when WWE does this kind of stuff. The simple things, man. The simple things that they mess up on. So next up, this was great. We got Daniel Bryan addressing Fastlane, Edge, and Roman Reigns. This was a great promo segment. So Daniel Bryan came out, right? And basically, man, Bryan has been super, super, super passionate on the mic these last couple of weeks. He came out talking about him and Edge, right? And, he talked about how he only kicked Edge because he felt a little bit disrespected when Edge pushed him out of the way, right? So he was just giving Edge a reminder that I'm here too. I'm coming after the Universal Championship. So, like I said, they're highlighting the issues between Bryan, Edge, and Roman. This story is not about Roman versus Edge. It never was, people. It never was. It never should have been. It should have been either Roman versus Bryan to begin with, or a triple threat. That's what it should have been from the beginning, right? And there's almost no way, if we're being honest here, there's almost no way that you're gonna give us just Edge versus Bryan or just Edge versus Roman at this point. Come on, they're too deep in the storyline. You can't just end it at Fastlane and that's the end of it. They're too deep in the storyline. There's too much water under the bridge. You got to go with the triple threat. I'm going to keep saying this until the match is announced and confirmed. And I don't care. You got to do the triple threat match at Mania. And I hope WWE is realizing that. I hope Vince is realizing that. Right? So, Reigns entered the Thunderdome with Paul Heyman by his side. Jey Uso was, getting ready for his match with Edge in the main event, which would determine who would be the special guest ring enforcer, a.k.a. referee, whatever you want to call it, for the match at Fastlane. So, Reigns took exception to Bryan claiming to tap him out. Because Bryan's been on record saying this on Talking Smack in his promos, that he's not only going to beat Reigns, but make him tap out, right? And, Reigns was like, Paul, he's got a better chance of shooting lightning out his ass than tapping me out. So it reminded me of something that The Rock would say, but Reigns has been a phenomenal, right? And Bryan has been phenomenal as well, man. Reigns said that he's never tapped out in his WWE career, and I think that might actually be true. That might actually be a valid statement. And if it is, it's most likely because, Reigns spent the last 7 years as a babyface. And babyface almost never tap out. So that's the only way that's the only reason for that. If Reigns was a heel, that would be different, right? But Reigns said, he'd rather lose his life than tap out to someone like Daniel Bryan, And, I love Reigns' intensity here because you can actually kind of believe that he believes what he says, Even though he's a cocky heel, I love I just love that still. You can believe what he says because of the passion that he puts into the promo itself. So, what else? Bryan said that maybe Reigns was going a bit too far with saying that he would die, but he did say that everyone's invincible until they're not. Everybody's unbeatable until they're not. Everybody is tap-atable. He said something weird like that. Untappable, I think that's what he said. Everyone's untappable until they're not, right? And Bryan said he will beat Reigns Sunday at Fastlane for the Universal title, and Reigns is going to tap out. So that's the big thing here, right? It's not just Bryan saying that. It's not just Bryan saying that he's gonna make him tap out. I mean, no, I'm messing up my words. It's not just Bryan saying that he's gonna win this Sunday. It's him saying that he's going to make Roman tap out. That's the key phrase. Because now they're putting an emphasis on that. Now they're telling you, the viewer, that Bryan really wants to make Reigns tap out. It's gonna be interesting. Maybe Reigns does tap out and we get some kind of fuck finish, right? Because we never know what's gonna happen. Just because Edge is most likely going to be the special guest referee doesn't mean there's not gonna be a fuck finish. There's a lot of stuff that can happen. I have no idea how to predict this match. There's a chance that Bryan wins the match and he loses the Universal title just a couple weeks later because Vince wants Reigns to walk in as champion, right? Like, there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong here, a lot of stuff that can go right. But this is the hardest match to predict going to this Sunday. I think this match and the tag team title match with Sasha Bianca versus Jackson Baszler, those two matches are the hardest to predict going to this Sunday. I have no idea really what to predict, for it. If I had to make a prediction, I think Bryan's going to win by either making Reigns tap out or there's going to be some kind of fuck fitness that's going to lead to this finally becoming a triple threat at Mania. I think it's going to be one of those two options, right? And for Sasha and Bianca, I'm predicting that they're going to win the tag titles. I never bet against Sasha, really. So, yeah. But we'll see. But this was a really good promo segment that would lead us into the main event. So, next up, we had King Corbin versus Sami Zayn. So, this was marketed as the least anticipated match in SmackDown history, which, you can actually make an argument because who the fuck cares about Baron Corbin? I've never cared about a Baron Corbin match. I honestly think I can say that. There's name me, someone in the comment section, name me one Baron Corbin match that you actually were invested in. One. I don't have any. I really don't have one. But either way, So basically, backstage, we had Sami Zayn trying to convince Kevin Owens, to help him with the conspiracy documentary, right? And one thing I'm noticing is it seems like every single week, that Sami Zayn's crew, they get better equipment. They started with like a camcorder, and now, they have boom mics, and they have these super expensive cameras. So I kind of like how that's playing into the storyline. And I did read that they are planning at some point to show the footage from the documentary, so we'll see. But anyway, back into it. Sami Zayn's trying to convince Kevin Owens to be in the documentary, and Kevin's asking, who's they? Who are these people that you believe are conspiring against you? Like, who's they? Can you tell me that at least? And Zayn was like, I cannot believe that you of all people, with as much as you've been screwed in this company, that you don't see the light, right? And you can see the tension, they're building here. And also, the first thing that comes to my mind also is fight forever, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, right? Fight forever, fight forever. We all know this. We all know this. This has been part of their history forever. So, we got the match itself. Kevin Owens was on commentary after he agreed to be ringside for the match to see if there was anything suspicious, but nothing happened. Zayn tried near the end of this to take up, to take the padding and the protection off the turnbuckle, right, to give himself more of an advantage, but the referee saw this because he was doing it right in front of the referee. The referee stopped him, and then he ran right into an end of days because of the distraction. So Zayn, there was no fishy stuff. If anybody's doing anything fishy, it's Sami Zayn. Or, he's trying to, cheat and give himself an advantage in the middle of the match. The referee's just doing his job. So, yeah, then after the match, Zayn goes up to Kevin Owens, and he's trying to implore Owens to back him up on the claims of frauds and lies, but Owens didn't. All of a sudden, Sami hits Kevin Owens with a sickening haluva kick, and then he left his former best friend lying, and Zayn goes on a little bit of a rant. So this was really, really good, right? And I'm talking about the post-match attack by Zayn. Because clearly this is leading to Zayn versus Owens on the undercard of one of the 2 nights of WrestleMania. I did say last week I wouldn't be surprised if they do like an IC title ladder match. I would love to see that, right? With like Zayn, Owens, Apollo, Big E, Corbin. You could put Nakamura in there. You could do a really good ladder match. A lot of good names you have in the SmackDown mid-card. But it's clear that it looks like we're not going to get this. It looks like we're going to get Zayn versus Owens, the fight forever, right? And I think this is the first time on the main roster, at least, that they're doing the babyface versus Zayn storyline. So Zayn's the heel and Owens is the babyface. Every time they face, it's been, I think, like the opposite way around. So this is actually pretty exciting. We know Owens and Zayn, they have tremendous chemistry with one another. They bring out the best in one another. They're probably, each other's greatest rivalry in wrestling, right? Because they fought in the Indies. We've seen them fight in NXT. We've seen them fight on the main roster. We know the history between these two. So clearly it looks like this is most likely going to lead to Zayn and Owens on WrestleMania. So that could be a show stealer. Another underrated match. This could be what Owens and Rollins was last year. And I know that people may not remember it all the way because it was in the Performance Center, but if that match took place in front of a live crowd, that would have been one of the best matches of all of WrestleMania weekend. That match was fantastic. And I feel like we can get something similar, if not better here, with Owens and Zayn, if given the time at WrestleMania. So the Corbin and the Baron Corbin stuff was a waste of time. No one cares about Baron Corbin. Honestly, I have no care to see him even on the WrestleMania card. But I do like how this is setting up for Owens and Zayn. Next up, we had Michael Cole interviewing Big E and Apollo Crews. This has, like I said earlier in the podcast, this has been the best feud on SmackDown outside of what's going on with the Universal Championship. This feud has been incredible. Apollo's heel turn, Big E's seriousness. I've loved everything about this feud, right? And, this wasn't even really a sit-down interview. It really wasn't, because I think Mike Cole only asked one question. He asked, is there any way that you guys could, fix your differences and possibly forgive one another? And I'm just like, really? That's the question you're going to ask? I feel like we're already at the point of no return. Apollo's a heel who's tried to end Big E's career on more than one instance in the last couple weeks. And, Big E just is set up for revenge. So, I don't know. I feel like Michael could ask a way better question than that. But either way, what was great here was the facial expressions, man. Apollo didn't change the look on his face the entire time. He had this straight, serious look on his face. And Big E on the other side was going back switching between, laughing and being angry. He had a funny look at some points, and then he would have a serious look at others, so I just love how Apollo was, or not how Apollo, how Big E was going in and out of seriousness. Big E was great here. So Big E told Apollo to take time to enjoy the crispness of the March air and all his limbs still functioning, because in 2 short days at Fastlane, he will not get to experience anything. The only thing he's going to get is what he deserves, which is payback. So Big E here, he kept this short and sweet, man, but I love Big E's wordplay in these promos. Like last week, he's talking about, I'm going to have to go biblical on your ass, right? This week, he's like, enjoy the crispness of the March air. I love Big E on the mic when he's serious, bro. But then Apollo cut another good promo, using his Nigerian accent. He said, what I deserve is to be the Intercontinental Champion, right? In front of my whole entire family. I will destroy you. And I love, I'm telling you, man, we got to get Apollo in Black Panther 2 with that accent, man. We got to. But either way, then, the attention here was great. And then Big E was like, you know what? We're not wasting time. We don't got to wait. We don't got to wait till Sunday. So Big E pulls the mic out, right? And then all of a sudden you see Big E, he gets on a golf cart in the Thunderdome, and he starts driving around the baseball stadium looking for Apollo. Eventually you see Apollo like, oh, Big E, where are you? Let's do this now. So then Big E eventually finds Apollo and then hits him with a golf cart, right? Or no, I don't actually know. I think he almost hit him with a golf cart. But then they start brawling, and Big E, he said Apollo flying into a locker and was, whooping his ass, to say the least. And then the referees had to break them up. But like I said, this feud has been great. And I'm going to say it right now. I'm going to say it again. Apollo needs to win this Sunday, or this heel turn was for nothing. You haven't put in all this work into Apollo just to have him lose. This is what you need to do. You need to have Apollo win this Sunday, and then it's time to send Big E into the main event scene. I don't know who's going to win the Universal Championship. I don't know if it's going to be Reigns. I don't know if it's going to be Seth. Or not Seth. I don't know if it's going to be Reigns. I don't know if it's going to be Bryan. I don't know if it's going to be Edge. It could be, you can make an argument for all three of them at the end of the day. But whatever happens, Big E needs to be in the title picture, or at least in the main event scene, after this. You could start Big E having feud with Seth Rollins if you want, and then slowly make his way up the ladder, maybe to getting a Universal title opportunity at SummerSlam, but I'm not all the way sure. It's up to y'all. It's up to WWE how they want to do this. Plus, remember, I do think there's probably going to be a superstar shakeup after WrestleMania anyway, where we will see some superstars changing brands. So who knows what's going to happen. But I feel like it's Apollo's time. Big E doesn't need the IC title. I feel like he's made the case and he's showed why he deserves to be in the main event scene. I feel like it's time that we move Big E up, right? I think it's time we let Apollo shine down there with the IC title. But either way, man, this has been fantastic no matter what happens. But Apollo needs to win at Fastlane. I don't know what you do at WrestleMania. If you want to do the rematch there, you can. But I wouldn't be surprised if they get some other superstars involved in this as well. And this turns into maybe a fatal 4-way, a fatal 5-way, right? Because you got to think, what does Nakamura do at WrestleMania? Could Aleister Black return in time to potentially get a match on the WrestleMania card? I don't know. But like I said, I just don't know if you're going to be able to do Big E versus Apollo again at Mania. You could, but the only way you could even make an argument for us to get this match again at WrestleMania is if Apollo wins this Sunday. And that's what has to happen. Apollo needs to win the IC title this Sunday at Fastlane. On all this was for nothing. And that would be a damn shame. Because Apollo is doing the best work of his career right now with this heel turn. And that needs to continue going forward. All right. I love this. Love this. So last but not least, we had the main event. So Edge versus Jey Uso. So throughout the show, they were showing moments, right, of, Edge's best moments on SmackDown. There's so many of them, like the time he took Paul Bearer hostage, or, any of his world heavyweight title victories on the show. There's so many great moments. You also have maybe the wedding to Vicky Guerrero, where they revealed that Edge had an affair with Alicia Fox. There's a lot of great moments there. A lot of great moments. But either way, I've really, really, really enjoyed what they've done here with Edge. And the only thing, my problem is, I just hope it doesn't push Daniel Bryan out of the picture. That's my only thing. It's like, I'm happy that Edge is wrestling on SmackDown. I'm happy that Edge is there almost every single week. Edge also had some new ring gear. He had some like gray, blue, it's like some like North Carolina hurricane blue attire, which was actually pretty cool. I don't think it's better than the magenta one he was wearing, but still. But I did like how he had this new attire for, his return to SmackDown after 10 years. So you guys also have to remember that this match was to determine who would be the number one, or who would be not the number one contender, who would be the special guest referee for the Daniel Bryan Roman Reigns match at Fastlane in 2 days. So, anyway, this was a really good match. Like, Jey Uso, man, main event Uso, man. Like, really, he is main event Uso now. But, we saw, Uso worked on the ribs of Edge throughout the entire match. Edge did a great job of selling them. Edge then got hit by steel steps and then got sent to the ring post, to the midsection, right? And Edge continued to keep fighting. But you could see Edge was doing a great job of, showing that he was struggling to breathe and all that. Really good stuff here. Then Edge survived the super kick and an Uso spear, or not Uso spear, an Uso splash, and by kicking out at 2.5. And then later on, Edge would hit a spear to win the match and cash his ticket on Fastlane. Also, I gotta say, Daniel Bryan here on commentary was pretty good and really enjoyable. Like, definitely, if Bryan wants to go in the commentary after he retires in a couple years, I would have no problem with that, man. Really good stuff here. But after the match, we saw Edge stare down Bryan, right? Because we know there's been some sizzling beef between them, even though these two have a lot of respect for one another, right? But all of a sudden, Roman came out of nowhere, the spear Edge. He's like, you think this is your show after you've been gone for 10 years? Nah, this is my ring. This is my show. And then Reigns stared down Bryan, and Reigns dared Bryan to get into the ring. But, right as Bryan was about to get into the ring, he got attacked by Jey Uso, and Uso sent Bryan into the ring, and Reigns hit him with a spear. And that's what happened. So Reigns spears both Edge and Bryan to end the show. And, Reigns looks tall going to Fastlane. Take that as you may. Could this mean that, could that mean that Bryan could win? Because we know usually if you look dominant before a pay-per-view, sometimes that gives the indication that you may be losing. But I don't know. I'm predicting right now that I think Bryan's either going to win the match via fuck finish, or he may actually make Roman Reigns tap out. But we're just going to wait and find out. But I think it's more likely that Bryan's going to make Reigns tap out, and then there's going to be some kind of fuck finish. Like the referee doesn't see it, and then, that leads to the triple threat finally getting announced this week or next week on SmackDown. But we'll just have to wait and see how it goes. But either way, this was a really enjoyable edition of SmackDown. Love to see Sasha do what she does best, is the best in the world. Biggie and Apollo doing fantastic stuff. The Seth Rollins and Nakamura segment was enjoyable. And I loved everything they did with Reigns, Bryan, and Edge tonight, man. And I'm just waiting for them to confirm the triple threat match. All right. If you guys see like a little blue LED thing, right, flashing on my screen, there's nothing wrong with the camera. It's just I got LED lights around my room, so the lights are on right now. But either way, that's about all I got for you guys today. See, I just turned them off. But see, that's about all I got for you guys today. I'm going to get out of here. If you guys enjoyed the review, make sure to leave a like on this video. Make sure to subscribe. You guys are new to the channel by hitting the bell next to my name, Fitzmonk TV, so you guys are notified every time I post a new video. Also, make sure to follow me down on social media. Thank you to everyone who live tweeted with me, as always. We do have Fastlane on Sunday, so we will have a Fastlane review, most likely going up Monday morning. I may try to do one on Sunday night, but no promises there. We'll just have to wait and see. But either way, guys, I'll see you guys Sunday for Fastlane. It's going to be a big show. WWE's first show on Peacock. We'll see how that all goes. But other than that, guys, I'll see you guys later. Stay safe and healthy, y'all. Peace.